So another video. Okay, so the last time we went through what is called async awaits. We looked at so far. So in summary, like a quick brief on what we've covered so far. So we had the observer pattern where you where you create an event and you create observers that connect to that event. Um, So the events would listen to the event. So we have the on parameter, the on keyword, and then we also import from events, as we can see here. And then we can emit the event itself. So in this case, when I'll emit score, it would our event emitter uh, will give us exposure to on and emit. So on score, it will be detected, sorry, on emit, it will be detected by the on here. So which event occurred, it would react accordingly. And then we went on to the promises, and then we looked at how libuv handles those promises and how libuv enables multi-threading, even though JavaScript is single-threaded. With libuv, you're achieving asynchronous calls, so hence sufficing the multi-threading intention or goal. Um, the promise.all I think, it was the trickiest one of all, because you would have to execute multiple promises at once, and for each you would obviously you would get a response, um, and the time we get a response back varies because it depends on how long the promise takes. But a promise that all ensures that you know um, all promises are executed, and like we've seen before, the in the example here that we've seen, promised at all. Um, when we log the result, we get it all at once. But when we log each result on its own, that's when we, you know, achieve which one finishes faster. So we can highlight. Uh, oh yeah, we've also used the async function where so instead of using promised of then, we can use async and await. We can look at here. So these examples that we've used before, or let's go back to the timers. So we have these timers, timer one, timer two, and timer three. And then when we run all of them, they will finish at the same time. No, we'll get the results when everything else finishes, because obviously we need to make sure that the array structure is sufficed. In this case, we get the results at the same time. We're waiting for this to finish. Oh, this is 10 seconds. So ready, set, go. Even though this one finishes first and this is second, but because we're displaying the result at the same time, that's when so that's why we get each on its own. Like if we do this now on the other one, like we have the promises, okay, and then we run it. In this case, we get each result on its own, which one finishes faster. But then, because when we run the promise, it makes sure that all promises finish on its own. Like to me, I feel like maybe there will be a use case where you need to use .all, but to me, it seems like we are better off using this because no, there are cases where you need to use this. For example, um, if you're running multiple threads that depend, say for example, grouped events. So you want those results to remain on the same group, then you would run the .all. Okay. Anyways, so that's that. Yeah. So in this case, we can comment this one out. and then we can go back to revising what we've actually done the last time. Um, we have this one right here. Okay, so we have, let's try to redo this example again. I want to recall what I've done. So we have users, posts, and comments. Um, okay, let's take these URLs again. And then let me try to not look at this. Okay, let me just, take them off the screen. Now we want to run all of these. So we can do promised all. Oops, promised all. And then we want to do URLs dot map because we want to run each URL on its own. And then for each URL, we want to do a fetch. So we want to do a fetch URL, right? So for each URL, we're fetching. And then we need to work with the results. So in this case, we have the returned results. So in this case, we have the dot, then this is a promise. This returns a promise. So fetch URL. Okay, so what we can do is we can put these in brackets so that we want to make sure that we're working with, so we have fetch URL, and then we have dot then, and then response, then we need to just, console.log that response. Okay, just need to do console.log response. All right, let's check this one out. Okay, let's comment these ones out. You don't want to. So we have promise.all, we map each URL on its own, like we kind of exploded the map, the URLs. Then for each URL, we're actually displaying the response. And this should be a promise as well. Okay, I'll try to run it. There we are. So we got the response. We can do response to JSON then. Response to JSON. Let's see if it works. See it running. Okay. Response to JSON. Is it a function? Yeah, it should be the JSON, I think. The JSON like that. And pending. Okay, so we can do promise.then, and then the response we get, which is the JSON, it would be console.json. The log JSON like so. Yeah, so that's the one. And now, so simply put, when we fetch a URL, and then we get a response from the URL as well, how we treat it. And then we just convert the response to JSON, the JSON object, and then it gets displayed right here. But then if we use the async function, so we can do async fetch URLs, async function fetch URLs. It takes no parameters, and then the body of the function. So what we can do now is constant result would equal to await, and then we can simply drag all of this right here, promise.all is returned to await. And then we can do results. So results, right, let's do let's instead of conf. Let results, and then result will be equal to result.json, and then console.log results. Let's see if this one works. Yeah, sorry, it's not being called. So in this case, we're gonna do fetch URLs. All right, it's not a function. Okay, so fetch URL. This would return. So let's go ahead and console.log. Um, console.log result and see what goes in it. Undefined, undefined. So we have 3 returns, 3 of which are undefined. Okay. Let me revise this real quickly. So we get 3 undefineds. We fetch, and then the then right here. Yeah, okay, my bad, my bad. I got it. So it's dot then, and then because this is the limit response, this is the limit response, and then this one gets the response.json, response.json like so. Okay, I'll explain what I changed in a little bit. Okay. Okay, so let me save. Okay, I saved it. So what I've done different this time is that so the dot then is actually connected to the fetch. It's not connected to the promises, and that what actually, but I still am getting undefined. Okay, so we have the fetch URL response, right? Let's go ahead and finish this using. No, there's no need to do this. Okay, so let me bring this one back. Async function. That's what we've done. Await. Well, hold on a second. Await is handled by await promise to all map URL. Okay, fetch URL. Then hold on a second. Could this be the problem? Embodies the yeah. So what's the bracket? Like why did we get a wrong result when we had the bracket? So I think if we remove this one, we're still getting the promises there. It still would work. Uh, like we can do a result. Yeah, it's an array. So let's go to JSON. Let's just see if, what are we getting here. Yeah, it's not a function. So it's not a function. So we can do is dot map and then res.json. Now this would work. Promise pending. Why your map on each result. Okay, so let's do console.log. Let's see what we get. Undefined promise pending. Okay, hold on a second. So we've got a whole promise. Yeah, it's a promise. So this is actually a promise. So what we can do is it's a promise. In this case, we will have to do resolve. Okay. Um, the three responses. Response is a promise. And prior to this, we know that a promise is, so this is the new promise, resolve and reject. Okay, let me try this. New promise. And then it takes in all these, if true. Okay. Okay, so this is the new promise. And then so what we can do is probably, now we've created a new promise as a little log. We can do promise.n and then a result. Hold on a second. Result. Oh my God, I think I misunderstood this. So let's try the result.map images, which response we want to do is .n console.log. There's the JSON. Let's see if this actually works. Okay. Map its response. Response event. So what type is response? So what is response? It should be a promise though, isn't it? Okay, let's go for solo.log. Let's see. Response. Yeah, what type is it though? It should be a promise, isn't it? Shouldn't it be? Let's do type of It's an object. Okay. Do we have, so in the type of objects that we've gotten back, still .json, does it work? Do we have .json? .date. It's an object. Okay. .json. It's a promise. Then what's going on? Alright, there's something I'm not doing right. Result equals promised at all. Now, this is something we've established. So we kind of have, it's all promises and results. So why can't I just run the promise on its own? So what if we do, why is this not working? Res, then, console log, yeah. Okay, let's see what we're doing wrong. But that is not a function. That is supposed to be a promise. Okay, I think I understand what's going on. So this would return a promise, right? So the JSON is a promise. No? Hold on. So if we play this, we're actually getting a promise. So now res.json is the promise. Okay, got it. I understand. So now this is a promise. So what we can do is, instead of, so we can do this. For each resolution, for each res, so instead of let's do results, and then here let's do results, just to have a readability, and then now result, let's JSON would equal to JSON promise would equal to result.json. Okay, is .json. Okay, let's learn to use the semicolon, and then what we can do. So now, if we try to console the log json.promise, now we will get a promise, JSON promise, like so. We will have a promise. This would work, but we will have a promise. Now, JSON. Oops, so now instead of running the log here, it's kind of confusing. So like that. And now we're getting promises. So console.log is actually a promise, JSON promise. Now what can happen is JSON.then and then results. No, let's call it JSON console.log JSON. Now this should give us the answer. Yeah, I think we're getting the hang of it. Okay, so now what we've done was basically try to eliminate the use of .then within the .fetch, assuming that we didn't know that fetch actually returns a promise. And for that reason, we had to create, so we mapped the result. Mm. Okay, so we didn't have to actually create a new promise like this one. We didn't have to, it's just this was useless. So let's result await promise. Now we executed all of these fetches that are stored in results. So we have an object of responses returned from URL. Now when we map each URL to, now what we can do, we can just place here the .then. We can place the .then like we've done here, but assuming we didn't know that this returns a response. Now this stores actually a list of objects. The .json is the response, is the promise. Now this .json is what returns us the promise, and this is a response. This is merely a response. So when we do the .then, we chain the async function. Okay, I think it's clear. Um, Now we got like a list of results, and then we had to um, get a response of which we apply the .then. Like assuming this would be a case where we get a response without like, from a different model or from a different module or a different script, whatever it is, and then we need to work our way to actually our way around the promise to actually create to get the response. All right, I feel like I'm pretty confident about it, though it's a little confusing at first. There's also another key important, I think it's part of ES9 or ES8, I'm not really sure. Let me verify. Yes, it's part of ES9. We can actually explode. Now we can actually create, um, say for example, we create 1, 2, and then we can call it 1, 2, fetch URLs. Okay, no, uh, rest, rest of URLs. This would equal to URLs. Now, yeah, I think this is the syntax. Am I not mistaken? Yeah, there's a comma. So in this case, the URLs will be exploded. Um, so one would contain the first element, which is this one, and then so when we try to, okay, so const, let's go for const, I think. Let's do this const. Now these are different variables. When we console.log 1, 2, and rest, we will get the 3 URLs that we've actually, set right there. So this is the first URL, second URL, and the comment. So we can do, instead of this, we can go users, posts, and the rest. Now we can create another URL. Let's hold on a second. JSON placeholder. Okay, so this is JSON placeholder. We got different endpoints here. Albums, little to-dos. Let's go for to-dos. And then, yeah, and we kind of create to-dos like so. And then now rest will contain 2 elements within an array. Yeah, what is wrong? Let's see. Oh yeah, we don't have these. We need to, so we need to do users and posts and the rest. And then now we should get, these are 2 elements. This is the array for the rest. So the rest contains these 2. If we try to print rest, we'll get an array of 2 elements. So this is the ES9 way of actually, and this could come in handy. Now, if we comment this one and we get rid of these, and let's remove this one for simplicity. We don't want to clutter our code, right? Right. Okay, so in this case, we have, so the results, so in here we have three, um, so we can do like this. We have users, posts, and rest. Okay, so for each promise, each result, instead of map, what we can do is we can do results dot, no, sorry, um, users, and then we would just run. So we can do now in this case, we can do like this. So users dot, so we have the response, uh, users dot JSON. So users, no, I think this should be changeable dot JSON like so, and then this would become a promise, and then console.log, and then would be users dot then users dot then, yeah, and then in here we would have JSON console.log JSON, and then we can just simply get rid of this. So in this case, we will only get users. Yeah. So this is just users. Command and all. Now we can do the same instead of posts, we can do, now rest should be comments, I think, right? Users is just simple posts and comments. Comments is a lot, so we just go for posts. Let's go posts. There we go, and this should give us the posts. I think we have a good grip of this. There is the 408 as well in ES9. So we have the 408, but it's kind of confusing. I need to find an easy example to actually get a grip of this. 408 when you have multiple promises running. So in this case here we can actually run the 408. In this case, we can run the 408 over the fetch, sorry. So we can do results, and then for the results we can run the 408 for, oops. We can do for results await, I think, let me look up the syntax. Okay, so it's actually for await. So it's actually for await. So in this case, we can do for await, and then we will let so for await. For await the list of promises. Okay, so it's a result of our results. Now we have results. Let's call it request of results, because these are requests. Requests, yeah. And then for each request, so let's go ahead and console.log request, type of request like so. And if we run this, we're getting different objects right here. But what we can do is we want to, so we have a request. Now we need to get the promise. So let response for request.json, and then response.then, and then we would go like, because now we have a promise. No, in this case, let promise be like so. and promise, let's call it URL promise. Promise that then result, no, JSON console.log JSON. Now in this case we will get the results that we've made. There we go. For each and every one of them. Now we got comments, posts, everything. Yeah, so this is the 408. So instead of us using the dot map, we can use the 408 instead of the dot map. So we actually kind of loop through. Yeah. So earlier we've actually used the dot map, and then for each URL we actually run the whole thing right here. But this could have come in handy, maybe. So this is the ES9 operation instead of actually using. So then we got the requests stored in the results right here. So the fetch responses are actually stored in results. And now I had to use the 408. So for each result, we want to do, there's a promise call in which we create dot then, and then we get the response. What we can also do is instead of the dot then, now this is a promise, right? You can use the await. So we can do await. Let's see if this would work. And console.log. Yeah, no, I don't think this would work because this would actually return. Okay, this will hold on. Yeah, I did. So whatever this is a promise being returned. What did we have early on here? What was here? Then JSON. Okay, so what's the difference? Oh, there's no, so there's even more, like so. It's about the same. So what we can do, okay, so this is, so instead of, so we can do wait, then we can get rid of the then. Now promise, we get the same results. Okay. This was a little confusing, to be honest. So in this case, we have okay, so the request.json is a promise. The result is actually stored. Okay, so earlier we stored the promise directly, but with the await, so the promise is dot then. In this case, it actually does the job for us. I got it. So await is kind of a step ahead. Like it stores the result directly instead of you waiting for the dot then. And that's kind of the point here. So this is the ES9. I can mark this as the ES9, like so. Okay, so in this case, the 408 actually allows us to loop through promises as if we're actually looping through asynchronous code. Remember that these are different promises, you know. Now which one finishes first is something we have to test early on. Now we know which one takes longer than the other. So what we can do, wait, JSON console, let's do count. Does this work, count? Let's see which one finishes first. Count count is not defined. How do you count the number of elements? Maybe dot length instead of dot count. Alright, let's see. Okay, so it's 10, 100, and 500. So which one is 10? Okay, users are 10. So let's try to. So users are 10. Let me try to. Let's see which one was the order. Okay, so it's 100, 500, and 10. So it's probably because it's an array. In the order to which, so we have the for each request, let's promise await JSON. We're not storing things in an array, so why did that one finish before the other one? My take from this is that it preserves order, at which I think it preserves order. Okay, this is a little confusing, to be honest. We need to mess around with this, like more. Okay, so the order is actually not preserved. Like this, the 10 is supposed to finish first. Yeah, for await, so we preserve the order. Let's check out the documentation for await. Okay, let's check out for await. Activating on sync iterable objects as well as sync iterables. This statement can only be used in context where, which includes a sync function, binary module. Okay, function, async function for await. Number full, console log 1, 2. Number full, okay. So you expected output is 1. Variable of iterable statement. Oh, so that's why it preserves. Then wrapped into an async iterator by wrapping every object returned from the dot next calls, then repeatedly calls the final async iterator method and awaits the return promise, producing the sequence of values to be assigned to a variable. Loop exited early. Okay. But yeah, there's also the finally block. Finally block ensures that Whatever is within the finally block is always executed no matter what. Like if it's a fail or if the promise is actually a successful or rejected, finally will always get executed. This is interesting. Generators and alterables. You know these in Python. Generator. Oh, what's this? This is a nice way. Um, this is a nice way to use the for wait. So for a chunk of the response, which is a stream, sync and trouble response body, and then the outputs the size. This is really interesting use case. Okay. Sync trouble. Yeah, by the way, we looked at finally try catch, then we can actually use finally as well. So try catch, and then we can actually use finally here. We can use finally uh, to display whatever, to run in sets a statement that runs after the whole thing is finished. Just so I don't miss that piece of information. Also being used here. There's the dot finally somewhere. So I've seen the, yeah, right here. So try, so finally always runs regardless release lock. So whether it's a successful run or a failed run, always release the lock. This is nice. So in here, it's using for await iterable. All right, I think we can, because this is fetch data from URL, calculates response size using a sync generator. So in this case, we have the async function, stream, get reader. Okay, so now you're actually reading and then releasing. Um, then releasing the reader. So this is a function in its own. And then we have the data stored in the unknown value, yield value. Okay, so this is the reader, and that's the value. Now there's what's URL. In this case, we have a URL and then response await. Obviously, now we have a response from the fetch awaits, and then we can run dot body response dot. This basically the size is always 0. Um, stream async iterable. Okay, this is the type of body that is that chunk of this. Now chunk dot length. Yeah, I think we have a pretty good grab of this now. I feel so. Now we still have a long way to go when it comes to iterables, generators. Like, what's the difference between the two? We can explore that in the right time. We still have like few syntax that are a little unfamiliar with, like the star right here, the function. But I feel like if we start to think about a lot of things at the same time, it gets overwhelming. So we just take it one step at a time. And these promises and awaits and async functions, I think they are the critical, the core of Node.js. So if we get a really good grab of it and a really good understanding of how to use it, then we will be better off in other, running and understanding any other code. All right. we'll stop the video here and we'll pursue this later.